Hello and welcome back to the second video in our series on Maple Learn Art. In the first video, we talked about creating geometric shapes, plotting functions, changing the plot window, and adding color, the basics. Here, I'll go over some more advanced tips and tricks that I like to use in my art. Once again, for additional information, check out the document gallery for how-tos and inspiration. And when we're all done, consider making some art for the Maple Conference Maple Learn Showcase. The deadline for submission is October 14th, 2022. Let's get back into the content, starting with variables. You can declare a variable using Maple's classic := notation. When you create a variable, it comes with a slider, which you can use to, well, vary it. In the gear settings, you can change the bounds of the slider and toggle whether it is discrete or continuous. Then, if you make any functions or geometry commands that reference that variable, they will change in real time when you vary the variable. This allows you to make your art animated. You can animate your masterpiece manually, like I'm doing right now, or automatically by going into the settings and selecting Animate Slider. And just like that, your artwork has life and moves on its own. I've noticed that the slider tends to animate a bit more slowly when continuous is on and a little bit faster when discrete is on. That's something to keep in mind. Just play around and see what looks best. Next, we're going to talk about piecewise functions. They have their own palette in the toolbar right here. Click this one to add a piecewise to your document, these to add and remove additional rows, and then you're ready to go. As a math person, I'm sure you're already aware of what a piecewise function can do. It's a great way to define functions that behave differently in different intervals. But you can also use it to enhance your animations. You can put anything inside a piecewise function. That includes, for example, geometry commands. If you have a variable that you're animating with, you can use it as the piecewise checking criteria instead of X or intervals or what have you. For example, here we have a piecewise function that says to plot a circle when animate is less than 5 and a triangle otherwise. When we have the slider animate, watch as the plot changes from a circle to a triangle as the animation variable animates. You can use piecewise functions to have elements appear, disappear, or change at different points in your animation. Another use of variables is for mass production using the such that operator. Such that, or the vertical bar operator, can define caveats or acceptable values for your functions. For example, it can define pieces of functions. It makes more sense if you read it out loud as such that. For example, this reads sin x such that x is between 0 and 5. And you see that's exactly what gets plotted, the snippet of the function ranging from 0 to 5. You can also specify a list of values, which are in Maple is done using square brackets. Here we go. For example, if we read this one out loud, it says a circle centered at the origin with radius b, such that b is 1, 2, 3, or 10. Over here, we get the specific results that we are indeed plotting 4 separate circles with radii 1, 2, 3, and 10. That extra blue text can get a little cluttered though, so we can go into settings and deselect show results to hide it. But as we can see, we've been able to plot 4 circles in one line using this notation. We can take this to the next level with the sequence generator, which will automatically generate a list for you given 3 elements: a starting value, an ending value, and a value to increment by. If you don't include this last part, it will default to 1. If we use this for our criteria, we can get tons of plots with only that one line of code. This is 20 circles with just this little bit of stuff. And if we combine that with the apply to all plots in cell color option, we can even make them all the same color in just a few clicks. These are just some ways to make your work more efficient, more complicated, and more interesting. And these are the main tools I use to make art in MapleLearn, in addition to the basic geometry, functions, plot setting, and colors from the previous video. You may be asking yourself, now that I know all these disparate techniques, how do I make the art? Well, the creative elements are really up to you. Maybe you want to explore a beautiful function and let technical math be the start of your piece. Maybe you want to individually place geometry commands to create any image your heart desires. Maybe you'll try some variable animation, linking all of your functions to a variable to watch flowers bloom, functions unfold, and more. In the last video of this series, I'll walk through a full art example to give you a better idea of how everything comes together. Until then, thank you for watching and have fun with MapleLearn.